Oops. Hello friends, welcome to 2012 Spring at the Stanwich Club. This year the professional staff is going to be giving some swing tips and some things to help you out with your golf game for the year. And I just happen to be working with, today, the driver. Now, many of you probably just watched the 2012 Masters where one of the best performances by Bubba Watson was turned in to win his first green jacket. We're going to talk a lot about that today and how Bubba hits it so far, but we're also going to talk about the shot of the tournament in my mind, which was Phil's flopper from behind the 15th green. Now some of you may disagree with me, but I'm lefty biased, so you're just going to have to put up with it for this short segment. A lot of people look to power in the golf swing, they look to the legs. Okay, and I'm going to describe you Bubba's hips movement and why he generates so much power from the ground up. It all starts with an incredibly large hip turn. In Bubba's backswing, his hips rotate away from the target 70 degrees. That is more than anybody else on tour. Bubba gets such a great degree of hip rotation, which really allows him to get the greatest turn possible and make his swing arc as long as possible. Now, when Bubba gets that great hip turn, many people wouldn't know what to do from this position. Bubba does. Bubba slides his hips laterally towards the target, shifting all his weight into his right side. This lateral move comes with very little rotation. His hips will get back to square, but are even a little bit closed yet at this point. After Bubba gets that horizontal hip slide, he then extends his hips, pushes off the ground, and continues to rotate forward. This is the power leg drive of Bubba Watson, and that's why he hits it so far. We're talking about a great hip rotation back, 70 degrees. The front knee drops in towards the golf ball. Back hip rotates, back leg straightens a bit. Generates the greatest rotation of the hips, 70 degrees. Then, from that position, slides forward, arms come down, impact, extension through the shot. I'll give you my best Bubba impression right now. That's how you hit it, 320. I'm guessing that some of you want some help to achieve Bubba's leg drive and hip turn in his golf swing. So let me show you a couple ways to do that. First, if you want to see how you're rotating your hips, take one of our alignment sticks, put it right in your belt, set up, rotate your hips. Very simple, right? You'll see right away how many degrees of hip rotation you're getting. Okay? Next, the second piece we talked about was leg drive. The horizontal shift towards the target, okay? In order to do that, take that same pole, stick it in the ground, and we're going to make some swings here, making sure that our left hip, or right hip for you righties out there, doesn't run into that pole. If your hip runs into that pole, that means you're rotating too quickly without enough horizontal shift. Third, extension. Just think of throwing a ball up over your head, okay? You're extending your hips. You're flexing your glutes, tucking your hips under you. Rotation, shift, extension. 3 keys to hitting it like Bubba. In my opinion, the number one shot in the tournament came on the 15th green. Saturday, Phil Mickelson was challenged with an unbelievable task of getting up and down from over the green. This is one of the hardest shots in golf. Phil, known to most by reckless and endangering sometimes, takes out a 64-degree lob wedge, lays it on its back as open as it can go, and swings at about 110 miles an hour, hits the ball straight up in the air, lands it softly to 5 feet, makes his birdie putt right there in contention. Now, I want to show you a couple things of that shot that made it possible for Phil to hit it so high. When we say Phil laid the club on its back, he literally laid the club on its back, as far open as it can possibly be. So Phil has the club face set way open. Next step is making the angle of attack on this shot as shallow as possible. Okay? If we go steep here with that open of a club face, it's going to be really, really hard to catch it perfectly. We're better chance that we're going to scull it or hit it a little fat. So we're going to try to get as shallow as possible, getting that club moving around our body, and by having, again, that horizontal shift will help us stay shallow through the shot. Now the part that Phil really gets right, it's the speed. He accelerates because he's not afraid to fail at this shot. He knows for certain he's going to pull it off. Club face open, shallow swing, speed. Ball lands softly, make the putt, moving on to Sunday. A good drill to try this one out is to see if you can hit the ball above your head and then catch it without it hitting the ground. That way you know you hit this as high as possible and as short as possible, and you got a pretty cool trick you can bet your friends with.
Must be the season of the wind.